kind of an overview of the event, and then I'll take you into the course that you'll be using to kind of track your sessions and get your pre-assignments done and things like that. So if you have questions throughout, you can ping me in the chat. If it's a good time to stop, I'll stop. Otherwise, I'll answer them at the end. And here we go. By way of introduction, you all have heard from me, but I'm Vice President of SEO Career. I'm also an alum, class of 2000. This is you. You all are 427 strong. Like I mentioned, about half of you are on tonight on this webinar. We will see about 327 of you during Summit, either live in session or in kind of coming and going, balancing finals and your other responsibilities, which is phenomenal. Majority of you are juniors, about half Black, half Latinx, mostly men. Sadly, I'm just kidding. We're working on that. And most of you are US students. You represent over 152 schools, which is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal reach and a phenomenal amount of diversity in the class. You're headed to 83 companies in 20 roles. And prior to COVID-19, you would have been spread across the country in 38 different cities. Summit-related information can be found on our public sites or on Planning Pod. If you just want to get kind of an overview of what's to come, those are good places. Take note of our social media handles and hashtags. We'll ask you to use those throughout the event to call out the event and draw attention to everything that you're experiencing. Where you'll spend the most of your time will be in Blackboard. That's where we'll post links to the events, passwords, and I'll go over that in a few minutes. And the majority of sessions will be hosted on Zoom by SEO. However, there are a few exceptions to that, and we'll spell that out for you in Blackboard. On Friday night, we have a welcome event. So I'll welcome you then, and it'll be a time to just do some kind of technical housekeeping and to make sure that everything's working appropriately. Then you'll hear from the team and from Mindy Davis, who's our managing director. Then we'll have a break and we'll transition to hearing from Mr. Kravis, who's chairman of our board and one of the more important leaders for SEO. Mr. Kravis and team are hosting their session on a separate Zoom link, so we'll give you time to kind of transition over to that session. Let's see. There we go. On Saturday, we'll have our orientation. You'll hear from our CEO, William Goodlow, from Walter Booker. You'll hear from Ray McGuire, who's vice chairman at Citi, and he's got a pretty interesting session planned for you all. There'll be a fireside chat with Nina Marpachi and Mabel Marte, who are board members and also managing directors of their respective firms. And then Monica Mantilla will talk about raising capital for communities of color, which is really interesting. And then we'll close that event on Saturday. On Friday, another special event that we have planned for you is the SEO Way Day. So we'll start the day by learning about everyday bias. Julian Johnson will talk to you all about SEO's sort of theory of change and why it's important to us that we help you all be successful. And Ramsey Smith will talk about giving back and what it means to be an SEO alum. And you'll also hear from some recruiters. Friday night is also when we'll launch the intern open mic. So if you have a talent and you're missing an audience because you're at home quarantining, this will be a time, freestyle, whatever you got, we want to see it. So there's a sign up link in Blackboard, so make sure you sign up and we'll definitely have an audience. At some point during the 2 weeks, we'll have a competitive scavenger hunt. And I should have mentioned the open mic there's also a prize for that. So we'll be voting for winners for that. There's a scavenger hunt, we'll put you in teams and you'll have a virtual kind of scavenger hunt. There'll be some prizes for that. And then the other special event that we have planned is on the closing Friday. There'll be an intern party. We have a DJ lined up and everything. So it won't be as good as the verses we've been seeing, you know, Erykah Badu and Jill Scott and all of that, but we'll try to make it as fun as we can for you. We have several companies participating in this event. And frankly, I feel like in all the years that I've run it, this is more companies than we've ever had. Which is really exciting. They've all expressed a commitment to making sure that they show you how important it is that you're successful, how important it is that they support you through SEO, and how committed they are to your careers. During week one, we will have speakers kind of in the morning, afternoon, evening, and a couple of times at lunch, in addition to your training sessions. And there's more detail about all of this in Blackboard, so we'll share that with you in a few minutes. Here's just an overview of week 1. You'll hear from Ed Shea at IBM and Amy Ellis. Bank of America has a couple of panels planned. There's real estate events. Carla Harris, Morgan Stanley will speak with you. It's a pre-event on Wednesday. You'll hear from Joe Plumeri about the power of being yourself. And you'll also hear from Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan. This is a phenomenal lineup. I hope you all are impressed, because we certainly are. We're really proud to be able to host all of these business leaders. In week 2, it's a similar lineup. You'll hear from some really prominent board members. There are a couple of HR panels, which will be really important to help you understand how to be successful kind of with a virtual internship, what the recruiting landscape looks like, how do you connect with your teams and all of that. And as I mentioned, on Friday evening, there'll be an intern party. In terms of training, so training is aligned by track, much like it was in this spring. It's a lot of the same trainers, however, the content is now stepped up. So if you think about everything you did in the spring as being kind of prerequisites for Summit, and then in session, you'll get a little bit more hands-on, you'll get to ask your questions kind of live, one-on-one, and you'll get even closer to being ready for your internships. Here's an overview of what week 1 looks like by track in terms of training. So everyone will be doing Excel. There's actually a kind of a short Excel session on Saturday the 16th, and then kind of go into Sunday the 17th, and a little bit on after orientation on the 16th. Then you'll go into track-specific training. The details for all of this will be posted in Blackboard. That includes materials you need to download ahead of time, whether or not you should be sharing video in session, whether or not you'll be breaking out into groups and things like that. And then week 2 is a similar lineup. So all the training that you need to be competitive as an intern. All right. So I'm going to stop there in terms of overview and just see if there are any questions from anyone on the line. And then I'll get into a little bit more into what to expect on Blackboard and take more questions from there.
Yeah, I have a question here.
Yeah, absolutely. Jump in.
Yeah, so, well, my name is David Bromberg. I'm going to be working for the Capital Markets Department in Bank of America. Mm-hmm. And so I see that you have planned everything for the next couple of weeks. My question is, in case that I have to travel in one of those days, is there any way to just look at the material later or another day, or should I just cancel those trips and do them some other time?
Yeah, I'm impressed that you're able to travel, because I'm stuck here in Brooklyn, but that's pretty cool. So what I would suggest is that for the VIP speakers, so everything that we kind of went over at the beginning, the special events and the speakers, that you try to make yourself available as much as you can. For the training sessions, the majority of about half of the trainers will allow us to record their sessions. So you can catch up, like if you miss one. I would suggest you not miss an entire day, like if you need to miss a morning or an afternoon, because in the evening, I mean, they're pretty long days, so it'll be tough to kind of catch up midstream. The content that you'll go over week 1 for most people is kind of more technical in nature. So if you miss any of those sessions, it'll be hard to catch up midstream. As we head into kind of week 2, and certainly over Memorial Day weekend, you'll have more time to yourselves to do what you need to do. So, so if you need to kind of travel, you have other commitments, week 2 would be probably a better time to miss a session here or there. But I would, like I said, try to avoid missing an entire day.
Hey, Nicole, I have a question real quick.
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead, Monica.
I see that the week 2 goes till May 29th. My internship starts on the 27th. So I would most likely be missing those 2 days. Is that planned for, or yeah?
Yeah, I mean, if you need to miss, I'm going to share my video too, since that's how we're doing. Hey guys. Hey. So yeah, if you need to miss for your internship, or if you have something like an event at your firm that's specific to this summer and being successful this summer, I want you to participate in that, and then kind of catch up with when it comes to SEO. If you are thinking of going to an Alpha event or an MLT event or something that's related to recruiting, I would not to, and to focus on SEO just for these 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Will be other events in the month of June since internships are delayed. So, and not in your case, but in other people's cases. So,
Mhm.
you know, if you can catch up on other things, but focus on SEO at this time, I think that would be great.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
I also had one quick question. So, my name is Maria. I'm going to work for JP Morgan in the capital markets. And I was looking into the different topics we were going to discuss in the summit. So, if we see that other branches of SEO are talking about the topic that we are interested, can we see the recordings? For example, I was looking that tech is going to talk about fixed income. And since I'm going to work in the capital markets, that's going to be very useful for me too. Can we look at the recordings later?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're talking about the Fitch sessions. So Fitch does not allow recordings of these sessions. However, we do have some fixed income content. So just reach out to Francisco or whoever your coach is, and we'll get you some content to make sure you're ready for a DCM. Yeah. And we also, I don't know if Marcelo is your coach, but Marcelo spent his entire career on LATAM DCM. So he'll catch you up to speed really quickly. Don't worry, we'll get you ready.
Thank you.
Marcelo, I see you there. He's raising his hand.
Hi.
Hi there.
Quick question. This is Elias. I was wondering if it would be appropriate to reach out to some of the speakers, obviously not the, as you said, VIP ones, but will we have like virtual business cards so that we can reach out to them afterwards, or is that off limits?
So what I've done in this document, the deck that I just went through, as well as in Blackboard, is I've linked to everyone's LinkedIn. So that's kind of, you know, the best way I would say to get in touch with anyone. I'd recommend, and that would be, you know, if you want just to say thank you, appreciate the time, or whatever, or if you just want to kind of make connections. I'd hold off on doing that until after they've spoken, so that you can reference the remarks and kind of personalize your comment. If they get, you know, kind of like 300-400 LinkedIn requests right now, that might be a little bit for them, difficult for them to manage. But if you're impacted on a personal level by anyone, feel free, and certainly you can just send a connection request.
Thank you.
Help, Elias?
Yep, that answers it. Thank you very much.
No problem.
I have a question. Hi, my name is Marcel. So I was wondering if we're gonna have the a PDF of all the events and like the dates and the times. Is it gonna be sent to us so that we can like put it in our calendar?
Yeah, absolutely. So I plan to show that to you in just a second. I wanted to just pause for questions, but absolutely. We're going to send you a PDF of the schedule. You'll be able to log into Blackboard and see your schedule, everything you need to know for every session. So we'll make sure that you have it in hand. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Nicole. This is. I just had a quick question in regards to asking questions to the speakers. Is there a specific link, a Google Doc or survey where I can submit those questions to have a chance to ask a question to Jamie Dimon or Henry Kravis, some of the
Oh yeah,
VIPs?
I am so glad you asked that. That's actually the first. That's actually the first assignment. So you all have been enrolled in the course at this point, or you should have been enrolled in the course at this point. We were kind of doing, preparing for this webinar and doing enrollment simultaneously. So when you log into Blackboard again, you should see in the virtual summit course in your list. And if you don't, just ping your coach and we'll make sure that it gets added. There were a couple of students for whom we had a couple of kind of hiccups, but we'll make sure that we get everybody up to speed. And in that, you'll have a link to you'll have a link to an assignment, which is the SEO question assignment. And for most of the speakers, they're asking that we have we collect SEO questions in advance. And the reasons for that are many, but one is that we want to make sure that we are able to manage the Q&A in a smooth way. We want to make sure that speakers have time to prepare remarks that are relevant to you all. And unlike in-person sessions that run for like an hour, hour and a half, all of our sessions, or most of our sessions, are only running for about 45 minutes. So we want to make sure that we can get questions answered as quickly as possible, and and to make sure that the remarks are relevant, you know, to start with. So
okay.
You'll have a chance. There are some speakers that will also take questions in session. There are some that will only take them in advance. There are some that will allow you to ask the question personally and some that want SEO to ask them. And we'll kind of outline that in Blackboard as much as we can. And we'll also make sure, you know, when we don't, the moderator or host of the session will give you a heads up, like in this session, please turn off your video, please mute your line, things like that. So we'll definitely let you know.
Okay, perfect. And just to double check, is the folder you're talking about the one that says Virtual Summit on Blackboard?
Yeah, that's of course, Virtual Summit. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yep. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I had to pause enrollments to jump on this call. So if things look a little wonky for you, just give it like an hour or so and we'll resolve it all. And one thing I would say, you know, because Doris, because you asked about asking questions, is in general, it's kind of best practice when you first join the session to have your video muted, your audio muted, and to have your video hidden. And then, you know, wait for the prompt from the speaker to tell you whether or not you want to share video. For us, this is SEO family, so it's fine. I'm happy to see you all. But when we get into session, you know, it varies kind of quite a bit. For some speakers that aren't as familiar with Zoom, the kind of like 30 faces on the screen is a little bit distracting. So it just kind of depends on the speaker, and we'll let you know. And I noticed that Mordecai and Yariel and a couple of others have really nice professional kind of placeholders. So that's another good idea, is to log into your Zoom profile and just replace that, you know, just make sure you have a profile picture. So instead of seeing a black box, people can at least get a sense for who you are and what you look like. So, okay, so I'm going to jump into Blackboard. We had a couple of questions about things that are hosted there. So I'll jump in there now and then come back and take more questions in a second. If that's okay with everyone, I just want to kind of get this lined up. Okay, so what you all should be seeing is a home page for a markets learner. So this is just a dummy account for a student in the markets cohort, on the markets track, I should say. And let's see, I'll take you through. When you log in, you'll see the virtual summit. You'll see the sign up for the open mic. We hope you all will. When you log into virtual summit, you'll have this overview, which it just kind of ground you in what you should be looking at first, how you should be preparing, kind of things like that. And then I forgot who asked this question. I think it was Marcel asked the question about the schedule. So you'll be able to click here and see the schedule on screen, and you'll also be able to download a PDF of your schedule for your track. What I will say is just be patient with us. We are working this week to confirm lots and lots of details. So as you noticed, I put the schedule is last updated on May 11th. We'll make sure that that's clear every time we update the schedule, and that the night before would be a good time to just come in and check to make sure nothing's changed or moved. Here's kind of an overview of the welcome event on Friday night. And you'll notice that in this folder, everything's just kind of organized by day. Here's Saturday's event, bios, LinkedIn links, things like that. And the links for Zoom will be posted here as well. We just haven't added those yet. And then Sunday, this one's markets. So I'm not sure why this person's seeing tech, but this is kind of what you'll see for all of your sessions, whether or not it'll be recorded, kind of what the schedule is, who the presenter is, if there are any pre-session assignments to be completed. I'll jump over to pre-session. So there's some information here, learning Zoom or setting up your Zoom. And then in this folder, we will see sessions for the different kind of different events. So if you're Excel level 3, there's some materials to download. If you need boot camp for your Mac and so forth. And then here is, I think this is your question, Doris. Here's the assignment that we've put into Blackboard for preparing questions. As I mentioned, most of the speakers want your questions in advance. We will identify you. So we'll prepare a list for them that says, you know, Doris Hoyos, here's going to this school, working here. Here are the questions that she's asked. We'll know who you are. So you'll just click on this folder, and then there's kind of an assignment for each of the upcoming sessions that you need to submit. Let's see. The next thing is just the dashboard. This works like all your other kind of courses done in Blackboard. You're going to use your dashboard to to make sure you've completed all your assignments and to see kind of what level of Excel you've been assigned to and that kind of information. Okay, we have a couple of raised hands. You guys have questions? Go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm Sam. I'm working at Millennium Management this summer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I don't see the virtual summit folder in my courses, and I haven't seen that for a long time now. So I've been kind of struggling to make questions because I don't have the prompt. For the question.
Yeah, we just launched the course about 20 minutes ago. So it takes a while for the system to enroll everyone because there's so many of you. So if you don't see it, just log back in about an hour and it should be there. It literally just launched about 20 minutes ago. So if you hadn't seen it before today, that's okay. You shouldn't have seen it before today.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Good question. Juan, do you have a question as well?
No, that was the question. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, yeah, so I mean, so that's the deal. I mean, we'll give you everything that you need to be prepared, and we ask that you do the same to just kind of prepare. I noticed that the sessions, excuse me, the prompts for Henry Kravis and for the Saturday are here. We've also added, excuse me, information about Jamie Dimon and about Ed Shea for those that are attending that one. What's interesting about Jamie is he typically hosts a live event in which he prepares no remarks. He literally walks into the room and says, okay, what are your questions? Because he knows how prepared SEO interns typically are. And also, you know, he wants to hear from you. He wants to know what's important to you. Because he's not able to do that this time, he's asked for his questions a week in advance. So make sure you make them good ones. Because I have a feeling he's going to try to get to as many as possible. So Jamie, I've just added that now. Jamie's questions, even though he's not speaking until the 21st, his questions are actually due on Wednesday. Okay, so just make note of that. All right. So I'm happy to take any questions about the course to walk folks through kind of what they should expect to see there once they're enrolled in the course, and anything else you need. The other thing to note is in terms of dress. I know in the last webinar we had some questions about that. And what I'd say is do the best you can. If you would aim for, you know, if you can do a shirt and tie for someone like Jamie Dimon, I think that would be great. We're not sure necessarily this far in advance which speakers will ask to see your video or not. So if you don't have a shirt and tie at home, you left it on campus. Like I said, the kind of placeholder profile picture that's professional is great. If you don't have something professional, business casual, like a polo or button-down shirt is great. And for women, just, you know, a blouse with a cardigan or something. And if you don't have any of those things because you know, you're doing the best you can in this situation, just something neutral, like a black top or some kind of neutral color is great. So that was something that had come up before. So I'll pause again. Oh, I see. Let's see. Someone asked, can you complete the Summit coursework from a Chromebook, or is it Mac or PC only? You should be able to. This course is kind of, it's just hosted on the internet, so Chromebook should be fine. I'm using, my children are using Chromebooks for Google Classroom, and it's very similar. The only thing I will tell you is that if you're using a Chromebook in session for like modeling or something with spreadsheets, it might get a little difficult to kind of work independently. And what I'd say is, in that case, just kind of follow along as closely as you can and take notes. And you can always watch the recordings and kind of come back on and go through it when you get to a PC. So, you know, that's unfortunately, one of the facts is if you don't have a PC, like some of the Excel-based stuff doesn't work great, but the bootcamp workaround usually is pretty good. All right. Any other questions from anyone?
Hi. In case you do know if the speakers want to see us or not video, would you let us know on the Blackboard or like just to know if I have to wear like professional clothes.
Yeah, so we will let you know when we know. So for some speakers, that's in advance, and for others, it may be that morning, right? So we've asked them all, and they just haven't all confirmed. So we'll definitely let you know. And the preferences really range. It's just sort of personal preference. What I'd say, if you don't want to, if you don't want to go through to the trouble of getting all dressed up, which, just a neutral shirt and kind of a Zoom background will do it. You don't have to do too much, but if you don't want to go to all that trouble, just having that kind of the profile photo is good. And you don't have to share video. We don't want to kind of make that a requirement. Not everyone's kind of comfortable with letting 400 and some odd people into their homes, and I totally get that, which is why I have a fake home behind me. So, you don't have to feel, we don't want you to be uncomfortable. So if that's not something that you're into, you don't have to do it.
Hi, Nicole. I had another quick question. This is Doris again.
Hi.
As far as letting SEO know if there's a specific day or time that you can't make, I'm talking about more later on, the last few days of the training program, will there be somebody to go to inform, or will it be, how would that process be?
Yeah, Doris. So we made note on the virtual summit survey that you all filled out, whether you said you'd be attending live, you have no conflicts, or that you might have conflicts. So we kind of know already. It's not that critical that we know for every single session. There are certain sessions where it's more important. And what we've done is we've reached out to those interns. So for tech interns, for example, they're doing some, I'm not a tech person, so I'm going to say code thing, something in groups. So it's important that we know if someone's not going to make the group. And in other cases, we'll let you know, it's really critical you attend, and let us know in advance. And just like what you've been doing all spring, just stay in touch with your coach. So if this is too much of a burden for you, if you want help kind of understanding how to balance this with all of your other responsibilities and new responsibilities, we're here to help you. So just let us know.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Doris. So a couple of other questions in the chat about Zoom backgrounds. So we've posted a couple of them into the course for you to go ahead and grab and use. One of them is the one that I'm using. We're creating a few more that are specific for you all, that are kind of just neutral or have an SEO logo. One thing I'd say is it's good to practice using the Zoom background, because depending on the background behind you, it might not kind of come across clearly, and you do have to have some minimum sort of system requirements for them to function appropriately or correctly. So that we will provide. And if you have a blank wall, that works fine as well. You don't have to get fancy.
Hi, Nicole. It's Sabrina. Just a quick question. So I have a work call until 6:30 this Friday. Is it all right to join at 6:30 instead of 6 in that case?
Are you talking Eastern time?
Yeah.
I believe, let me just double check. I believe this Friday the 15th will be wrapped up by 5:45.
Oh, interesting. I was just looking on the website. It says 6 to 8. Maybe I just, it's not updated.
Oh, you mean yeah, that's probably not updated. So
okay.
That's a really good thing that you brought up, Sabrina. So what I would say, Blackboard will be your Bible on schedule. So there are other materials that have been created, prior to confirming all of these details. But Blackboard is the go-to.
Okay, and in terms of joining things late, I know that's like definitely not best practice. But if there is like a situation in which we're not able to make it in like the first 15 minutes, should we just wait to watch the playback, to watch the video some other time?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say 15 minutes is probably a good buffer. After that point, it could be, it depends. If it's a VIP speaker or someone like that, we'll be managing who gets in session, and also we'll be managing what the speaker sees. So you kind of like, sliding into the session 15 minutes late probably won't be an issue. if the host is distracted or doing something in session, like managing a chat or troubleshooting, you might be in a waiting room for a little while until you're led to the session. For training sessions, when you do join, and one of the pieces of information that we'll have on Blackboard is we'll tell you who the moderator is, like who the SEO moderator is for each session. So when you jump in, it would be a good idea to send them a private chat and just say, hi, I'm Sabrina. I had a conflict. I'm joining a little late. And then they can sort of introduce you to the host if that's appropriate, or tell you what you missed and things like that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm not planning on being late, but I'm currently working at, I'm doing an internship at the moment, so I have some work calls, but I'll manage it.
Yeah, we understand that, and we've prepped speakers. Basically our message is, I know just from the comments I've received and questions that you all will do your best, and that's what we want you to do, right? So
excellent.
Do your best, and they know they might not get all 300 of you every time, but do your best.
Okay, thank you.
Are the times listed in the schedule, are they East Coast times?
Yes, good question. They are all East Coast times.
Okay, just make sure.
Yep, I'll make that clear someplace. I'm taking some notes. Yep, everything's Eastern time. Okay. So in addition to what's on the schedule, we're going to try to find ways for you all to connect with each other. It's one of the things that unfortunately is harder to replicate in a virtual environment. So one of the things we've asked you to do as part of the course is to create your own Zoom accounts. So I hope you will, and I hope you'll use them to kind of connect with your cohorts and get to know each other. This group of people, your SEO family, will be really important to you throughout your career. So please try to get to know each other and to make those connections. And that's all I have. So if there are no other questions, I'm going to end the session. It's recorded, so if you want to go back through, you can. We will double check enrollments in just a few minutes. And so if you give us, I'd say, 30 minutes or so, and then you can log in and get started on your SEO questions. And we look forward to seeing you all again on Friday and throughout the next couple of weeks after that. So thank you so much for your time. I hope everybody's doing well. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.